Hello, my second grade friends. I am here today to read you another story, and I have Henry with me. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Because Henry wants to hear this book as well. Let's see, this book is actually called The Power of Henry's Imagination. Story by Skye Byrne and pictures by Nick George. Let's see.
And I even have a dolphin with and I even have a stick with the dolphin on it.
He does. He has a stick with a dolphin on it. All right. So the author has dedicated the book for Savannah and for my parents who always allowed me to be me. Okay. And the illustrator says, for my mum, that's how some people say mom, Janet Hazel George, who asked me to use my imagination. All right, let's see. Henry's favorite toy was a rabbit called Raspberry. Raspberry was white with floppy silver ears and a red nose that looked just like a raspberry. Sometimes Henry was sure that Raspberry smelled like raspberries too. Do you think his stuffed bunny actually smelled like raspberries?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Could be. Oh, here you go. Henry and Raspberry had been together a very, very long time. 5 years, 3 months, and 11.5 days to be exact. Grandpa had given Raspberry to Henry the day Henry was born, knowing they would have many adventures. Everyone could see how much Henry loved Raspberry. From dawn until dusk, they did everything together. Look at that. Henry, do you see them? They climbed up that tree. They're sitting up there together.
He's named Henry and I'm named Henry.
Yes, your name is Henry, and the character in the book is named Henry. One morning, Henry decided to take Raspberry to the veggie patch to teach him how to dig up carrots. But Henry couldn't find Raspberry. Henry looked for Raspberry in all the usual places, like underneath Grandpa, on top of the lamp, and inside pillowcases. So this is hard to see on the camera, but one thing I love about this book, you see the illustrations, which are fairly simple, right? They're just done in black. But on the bottom of a lot of the pages, they actually have something real. So this is a sleeve to a shirt, and you probably can't see it as well as I can in person, but it's actually the real texture and the real material of a real shirt. And they've mixed it with the drawing, which is kind of fun. We'll see more of that as we go. Then Henry turned his whole bedroom upside down, but even that did not unearth Raspberry. That means they still could not find Raspberry. So I'm seeing that they've drawn, here's a little net, a sock, a box upside down. They've drawn a little hammer, but then they've included an actual magnifying glass. And this ribbon is an actual picture of a ribbon. So that's like a little dandelion on there or something.
Yeah.
All right. Henry was starting to feel worried. Henry got his mom and dad to help him search the whole house for Raspberry. By the time they had finished, the place was a huge mess. Check that out. Oh my goodness. All that stuff. I don't know. I know that if I look under my couch, I find a lot of kind of random, just strange collection of things. Here's his dad just feeling very frustrated. They still hadn't found Raspberry. With tears sliding down his cheeks, Henry went to Grandpa, who was sitting in his favorite armchair reading one of his favorite books. There's Grandpa.
Yeah.
Grandpa, can you please help me find Raspberry? I've looked everywhere. Grandpa put down his book, pushed his glasses down his nose, and leaned forward. Henry, Grandpa said in his warm, knowledgeable voice, if you've looked everywhere, then there is only one thing left to do. What could it be? He's looked everywhere. There's just one thing left to do. You must imagine that you have Raspberry back. Imagine I have Raspberry back, Henry repeated, wiping away a tear with the back of his hand. Yes, Henry. It's very simple. You just have to imagine that Raspberry is with you in this moment. Do you think that's good advice, Henry? I think so. Looks like Grandpa went back to reading. There he is, back in his chair. Then Grandpa sat down and started reading his book again. He didn't say another word. Since Grandpa knew more than anyone else who had ever lived, Henry decided the best thing to do was to follow his advice. Wonder where he's going. I bet we'll find out.
I want to read this.
Yeah. And so Henry began to imagine. There he is, up in that same tree that they were in together earlier, right? Do you see, again, that there are real leaves on here? That they've drawn the tree, but they've put on real leaves? It's a really fun way to play with what you might call texture, the way different things look and feel. When Mom called him for lunch, Henry imagined that he and Raspberry were explorers climbing a mountain. They got caught in a terrible storm and found shelter in a cave. Raspberry had to cook a can of beans for them to eat. Whoa, look at that. There they are in that cave. Hold on, Henry. Can you see? There's a little bit of a glare. There he is. Raspberry's cooking some beans. That's helpful. You see him cooking the beans? Over a little fire?
Yeah.
He's a stuffed rabbit cooking some beans. When Dad sent him outside to play, Henry imagined that he and Raspberry were pirates on a ship full of rare treasures, steering their cargo through the crocodile-filled sea. Check this out. So there they are. Look at what the crocodiles are. The crocodiles are made out of clothespins. That's using your imagination, right? Ooh. When he went in for dinner, Henry imagined that he and Raspberry were astronauts sent into space in their flying saucepan to count all the stars in the universe. There they are, flying around in a saucepan. Can you really fly in a saucepan?
No.
No, he certainly is using his imagination.
It's a saucepan.
When he went to get ready for bed that night, Henry imagined that he and Raspberry were dragon catchers walking silently through the forest as they searched for the mysterious purple dragon. There they go. Looks like they think they're going to catch that dragon with a net. See that? Would you use a net to catch a dragon?
No.
No?
I want to see that picture.
All right.
I want to see him.
Look real quick. There he is. That's so silly.
It's
Henry's liking this book too. Henry had so much fun imagining his many adventures with Raspberry that he completely forgot Raspberry was lost in the real world. In fact, when Henry went to bed that night, he fell asleep as quickly as he did when Raspberry was in his arms. He played so much and he imagined so much. He was super tired by the time he went to bed, right?
It's tired.
Later that night, Grandpa heard a knock at the door. It was Malcolm the mailman, and he was holding Raspberry. "I found him lying on the path," said Malcolm. "I would have missed him if it weren't for his silver ears shining in the moonlight." Well, well, well. Imagine that, Grandpa said with a wink. Here they are. There's Grandpa answering the door. There's Malcolm handing over Raspberry.
I want to see Malcolm. I want to see Malcolm.
Here he is right here.
Malcolm's right there.
Yeah.
So I can see
He's
them.
giving Raspberry to Grandpa. Oh, imagine that. There's Grandpa turning off the light. And guess what he did? Look here.
He's sleeping.
He went into Henry's room and put Raspberry right in bed where he belongs, right? I like this page. This was a lost Tell Henry poster, but then he's crossed it off and wrote found. I hope that you liked that book. One thing that I want you to think about with this book is that especially when we're home a lot to do whatever we can think to do, we can use our imagination to make any type of fun or any type of adventure that we want, right? You can use your imagination just like Henry did in the book when you're just playing by yourself. So think about all the adventures you could go on, all in your imagination. And if you take one of those adventures,
Is it all the way
I
at
would
the end?
love to hear about it.
Is it
all right.
at the end?
Goodbye for now, my friends. I miss you so, so much. Hugs to every one of you. Bye-bye.